Ilhan Omar is now my favorite person because she decided to just tell everyone that the right wing of the Anglosphere are entirely correct. In fact, they're understating the threat of mass immigration. We will go further than they believe. And she did all this speech in Somali, thinking no one would translate it.
Yes, Google Translate doesn't exist anymore. Thank you, Ilhan.
I mean, to be fair, Somali is probably one of the weirder languages in the world that you're not going to translate that often. But here it is. Now, we're not going to play it because it's all in, foreign. But you can read the subtitles there, I suppose. And I've written the cliff notes, and I'll say them, I suppose. So the main point is that Somalis are of the same blood and are an organized society.
I mean, that's definitely debatable, right?
I mean, have you seen Somalia? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
funny enough. I was doing some research on this yesterday. I did a control F. I got on the Somalia page.
Yeah.
I put control F Civil War, and I had 24 references.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
so the other aspect there is on the blood thing. She says that Somalis are also Somali first and Muslim second. And I think that first point, getting back to, I mean, obviously it's untrue in the motherland, but it's true in America, is what she's saying too, which is Somalis may be from different tribal groups, and in the homeland they'd all be killing each other over a Mars bar. But in the United States, well, they are one group with one voice and one influence.
I believe her.
In fact, she goes on to say that Somalis in the United States are the greatest source of power for Somali irredentism. So I didn't realize most people didn't know about Somali irredentism. So,
sorry, I don't know what irredentism means.
Irredentism means the reclamation of lost lands.
Oh, okay.
So the Germans claiming Alsace-Lorraine.
Land. And,
yeah.
The Italians claiming the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
That's
Somalia claiming the Great Somalian Empire.
No yes. British London,
yeah, exactly. The English in London, yeah.
We have our own irredentist claims. They also say that on this topic, because the United States wants to sign an agreement with Ethiopia and Somaliland, in which is a province of Somalia that claims independence because the rest of Somalia is mental. Yeah. Fundamental reason being that Somaliland was occupied by the British, so as a functioning society. The rest of Somalia was occupied by the Italians, and for some reason is babbly-boopy chaos. So there we are. But she says that Somalis in the US, they're going to thwart this deal because they are the biggest source of power to thwart the ability to stop Somali irredentism, because they are Somalis in the US acting as a fifth column to thwart US interests in favor of Somali interests. This is her words. This is her description of immigration. That once you get those groups here, they will do this. She then also goes on to say Somalia is for Somalis only. That's
is it?
Ending statement.
Right. Hi, folks. Sorry to interrupt the video, but I just wanted to announce that we have a new line of merch in our merch store. The merch store was kind of empty for a while, and so I thought, right, okay, what do I actually want on shirts? And so I just went through some of the most epic and true things that I think that historical people have said, and John managed to make an amazing set of merch out of it. And we will have extra things coming in the store, such as posters for these to go on. Thanks for everything, folks. Now back to the video.
Now, real quick, I suppose, we'll just take a look at the Greater Somali Empire.
Right, okay.
Shaded in green here on this Wikipedia map.
I mean, that's quite a large area, to be fair.
Yeah, so the old dictator, before it became a joke chaos state, tried to claim all of this. There was a big war. We sided with the Ethiopians and then sided with the Somalians for a period because Cold War was weird. Yeah. And, well, it all failed. And the people got ethnically cleansed. The situation was considered settled, but of course the Somalis are never going to believe that.
Nothing in Africa is ever settled.
No. So they want to go to war with Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Kenya, which you don't even have a currency. So
right, she actually how she got to America? She actually fled to Kenya in the first place.
Indeed.
So 1995, I think that was, and then she was given asylum in America. Right. What gratitude does she show?
Yeah.
Well, she does show great gratitude to the motherland. And that's the fundamental thing that came out of this entire speech, I think.
The place she was chased out of.
Yeah. So even in a situation in which someone flees a genuine war, they're a refugee granted asylum in a first world nation like the United States, and then are given all the opportunities, all of the ability to see this is definitely better than Somaliland, if not the rest of Somalia. Still not on board. This person was still not on board, became an elected representative, gets paid handsomely out of the taxpayer, still not on board with the American project. Still not on board with the idea that America should come first, if not the only thing that should come if you're talking as a citizen. Yeah. Instead, the thing that should come in her mind is her old tribe.
Yes.
Somalia. And this is a real tough problem that I think the entire Western world has been dealing with. The Eastern world understands and takes some weird precautions against it.
Well, isn't this the problem generally with many people that settle in the West? Their first port of call is their home country, the country they came from, rather than Britain itself or the country they're living in the West.
Yeah, but the fundamental thing they're trying to serve two tribes. They're trying to serve, in her particular case, the American tribe and also the Somalia tribe.
So
when it comes down to it, because we always in the West, it's a thing where you can have dual citizenship, for example, and in the East, it's just not. And the reason for this comes down to: do you believe that someone can support two tribes? And that breaks down at a point of, well, what about US versus Somali interests in the case of Somali irredentism?
Yeah, well, a cynical person would say that she's actually not trying to serve two tribes. She's exploiting one tribe for the benefit of the other.
Well, that is her own words, actually.
Oh, okay. A cynical person or an honest Somali politician might tell us.
I was being
lighting the candle at both ends by the sound of things.
Yeah, I was trying to be polite in the sense that you could have someone who was trying to hide it, but she's definitely not one of them.
So basically, what Ilhan Omar is a colonialist.
Yeah.
No, she's not an immigrant. She's a Somalian colonialist living in America.
And I don't even blame her for having sentimental bonds that are stronger to her native land and people than to some place she fled to as a refugee. We should just bear that in mind.
Yeah, of course. And this isn't news either. I mean, every other group of significance that has acted in this way has been open about it in the West. Somali's just one of them.
Yeah, but she's made a living out of it, though.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's
But I do want to give a fair point, because I know what she's going to say in response, because she's a Somali Muslim, which is
racist.
Well, no, because I mean, this guy says that tens of millions of US citizens are acting in the same regards with their same groups, and she would say, well, what about Israel? And she wouldn't have a terrible argument. There are people in the United States who put Israel before the United States.
Yeah,
Nikki Haley saying she's one of them here.
Well, most American politicians are in this position.
For people who can't see, we're reading a tweet from her where she says, "It has never been that Israel needs America. It has always been that America needs Israel."
How did America get by before 1948?
Who knows? How did they defeat the Nazis?
Yeah, I look at myself as a Zionist, but even I don't go that far.
No, that's bonkers. That's why.
But that bonkers mentality does perpetuate the United States. It's a real thing. And it's a mirror image of that situation where
it's become sort of right-wing virtue signaling in America.
Yeah, which is really cringe.
Embarrassing, yeah.
Because, of course, if you're right-wing, by definition, like, you should be fighting for your tribe, and your tribe there is the Americans, and therefore American interests trump every other nation's. But no, instead, foreign group I'm obsessed with trump my own nation's interests.
Well done to Lauren Chen for ratioing her, though.
Yeah, very good. And it's not the only one, of course. I mean, in more recent times, well, actually, less recent times, Ukraine as well. Looking at this one,
America can't survive without Ukraine.
You can take an argument on either side in the Ukrainian war, absolutely. But if we're talking about Mr. Biden, let's be frank, he doesn't give a shit. He only cares because he's got financial interests in Ukraine. And it's just transparent at this point.
The military-industrial complex and all that.
Yeah, not to mention his son with charisma.
Yes, of course, yes. You know, he's got to keep the family end up, hasn't he?
And I just want to thank Ilhan Omar for bringing up this conversation, if nothing else, because it's evident that this is the case.
I mean, Somalia for Somalis only is also quite a bold statement.
Yeah, I'll get it back on her if we want to say more about it, because it is a hell of a speech for someone in any position to say.
Somalia is for Somalis only.
Yeah.
Right. So 45% of Somalia's population are not even ethnic Somalis. Now let's talk about London.
She's treading on thin ice there, isn't she?
I mean,
that's a quite appalling thing to say.
She would be if her skin color was lighter.
By liberal standards, yes.
I don't even. I get what you mean by the American context. They judge everything in the mainstream by whiteness or whatever.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not true, because if you talk to Russians or Polish or anything else, like, they're all able to deal with ethnic terms. That's perfectly normal.
Yep.
It's just the, I suppose the Anglosphere and the bits cut off next to it are the ones who can't. And it's just mad that instead we're like, oh, everyone will just become like us and think that their ethnic identity doesn't matter. But what have you been smoking? What where have you got that idea from?
But also, it makes us look really, really silly to these people because they know the world doesn't work like that. And they know that we think that it does. And so they know they can spout the Western platitudes to one audience and then go back to the home audience and say, no, the Somalis are winning in America because we are taking everything we can from them and enriching ourselves from it. And they're too stupid to recognize what we're doing.
That was the thing that Yasser Arafat was always accused of saying one thing to the Americans and saying one thing to the Palestinians back at home.
I'm sure that's because that's what he did.
Yeah.
But it's funny how for us, that's a criticism of him.
Yeah.
Whereas in the rest of the world, that's just him being smart. If you were to say he lies to the Americans, that's not actually criticism of him.
Yeah.
That's he's on our side.
Well, I say that was also disingenuous as well.
Well, yeah.
Of course, but when you're dealing with national interests, that's all that matters for these groups.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm horribly naive. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to be fair in life, and be consistent in my views.
But you should take them as they present themselves, I think.
Because that's what we're looking at here. I mean, you're perfectly right. I mean, the way we come to these issues is usually, well, let's take people at their best and deal with good faith. But when you're dealing with a group here, I mean, the particular group in that room and her herself saying, we will literally exploit the United States for our own irredentist claims.
Sure.
There is no good faith.
It's,
but also she's going to pose as a left-winger while she's in the United States. So now she's found a philosophy that actually facilitates and encourages that. Well, it's white supremacy in the United States. I've been a victim of racism my whole life, blah, 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 blah. And I'm a hardcore Somali
ethno-nationalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But basically, it's somebody a lot lighter, to use your word, to something like that in Britain or in America, in the same context, they'd be denounced as far-right racists.
Well, they may well be arrested.
Yeah.
Saying something like that.
Yeah, I know.
Actually.
People have been in the actually. So.
Yeah, so.
Two-tier justice hits again, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
On your left-wing point, because I have a story to tell, which is that I don't actually see this again in the West. We go, oh, you're left-wing, but you believe back home Somalia for the Somalis. And it's a criticism, like that Yasser Arafat thing. But of course, in that context of if you're a Somali or a dentist, again, that's not a criticism of her. She's so smart. She's able to play these, I was going to say like white vampires or something that I don't know, because I don't know what slurs they use for us, but I'm sure they've got one. But I
think they just call us idiots.
Yeah, probably. But the story I was going to tell is that this isn't rare either. The best example I can think of is Joseph Pilsudski for Poland. So during the Russian Empire and the First World War, he joined the socialists to try and get Polish independence for Poland because he was a Polish nationalist. And then once they finally got it, he had a meeting with all the socialists and said to their faces, up until now, I have been on the tram of socialism, but the next stop is independence, I must get off. Which is him saying to their face, I've been playing you, you mugs, bye.
Yeah.
Which, of course, none of the Polish nationalists disliked him for doing that. We're like, oh man.
Sure. Instant appreciation.
But getting back to the US interests, because I was making the point that, of course, US interests should come first if you're the US. It's not a hard case. But it's not. And
US interests should come first if you're a Nazi.
And I think some of the things you'll find interesting is the US interests dissipate in some places as well, because there may be conflict, but the US suddenly isn't that interested. I mean, Libya is one I'm thinking of, which once upon a time people cared about for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then there's the Western-backed government there, but nothing's going there. Never is on the news. No one cares about it.
Yeah.
Afghanistan, I mean, that disappeared.
Yep.
I mean, I know the US lost and everything, but again, there's no money to be made, so that's the point. And then Sudan, which...
Well, I think the Chinese have filled the vacuum in Afghanistan.
Yeah. The Americans literally can't get drilling rights.
Yeah.
So they're not going to do any mineral mining.
And I'll tell you something, losing Colonel Gaddafi out of Libya has been a disaster for the West.
It's been a disaster for Libya.
Yeah, as well as,
Disaster for everyone.
Whether you like Gaddafi or not.
Yeah.
Just look at the consequences.
I know.
But getting back to Miss Omar, because this speech obviously is blown up in the American sphere, and rightly so.
Yeah.
This wasn't new though, was it? Like, come on. A lot of people just kept finding, footage of her talking in Somali and then getting a translator to run it. So this is her giving a speech behind a massive portrait of the dear leader, with the dear leader on the front of it as well, talking about how much she loves him. So we have a very special relationship. He calls me his girl. This is talking about the president of Somalia. Somalia is our home. It is our heart. We always think about Somalia.
Yeah. I mean, she's our president. Yeah. She is just coming out and saying that, I'm a Somali colonizer in America. I'm going to exploit the land for as many resources I can get for the advantage of Somalia. And it's like, yep.
Sure. I notice she's wearing a larger hijab in this one, where she's addressing the people back home directly.
Yeah.
She never used to wear that either, in case you're wondering. Only in 2001 did she decide to start wearing the hijab because she wanted to represent Muslim identity, is how she puts it. So it was never actually a sincere conviction about the proper way to dress. But follow the story. Goes on. This is her talking here, where she talks about returning back to our nation back home. Not Virginia. It's Somalia, weirdly enough. She also decided to do some more speeches. So this is when she is talking at a rally. And in this clip, she accidentally says "my country" when referring to Somalia, and then very quickly, quote unquote, corrects herself to saying the country I came from. All right.
I mean, it's still your country.
Yeah. And then she did something weird whilst this all blew up. She retweeted this chap who was saying you need to take legal action against everyone defaming your character. And she was explaining that you can't sue people for telling me to go home. Again, Somali understanding of the US legal system. And this guy here, of course, is a hardcore Islamist. He wants the caliphate back.
There is a power with numbers, breed like rats, and establish global dominance. Inshallah, the 21st century will see the great rise of Islam. Glory be to Allah.
Well, the interval is going worldwide.
He went a bit further than this, because he wasn't just claiming, of course, the Muslim lands. He then went on to tweet that out. That's his pinned tweet. Long live the great replacement.
And a picture of Minnesota, is that?
Yes.
Is that the Somali flag on it?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it is, yeah.
Why would she do this?
Just be aware that there are people who have designs on what you have, Americans.
Yeah, sure.
And you can check out the local community and see, actually, this guy's wrong.
Oh,
yeah, sure.
He's
Little
totally wrong.
Mogadishu.
It's as American as this footage.
Well, my
waddanka Maraykankana kuma taageerayo dad kaleeta in annaga
I'm going to shut that up. Sorry.
Sorry, my instinct is that I think Ilhan Omar has gone to the Congress, and she's made little impression on the place. No, she's a small fish in a big pond. Whilst in Somalia, she's a big fish in a big pond. No, that's that. Yeah, I can only think that's her mentality on this one, and she's probably quite shocked as well the amount of pushback she gets from Republicans and people generally in this country to her lifestyle and views.
To be honest with you, I think she's more cunning than that. I don't think she's shocked at all. I think that she knows that that's the pushback she'll get. It's just that the ruling moral order gives her an advantage over them.
Sure,
I'm a lot more cynical on that.
Oh, okay.
This is why I mentioned Joseph Pilsudski, because I don't think I'm not sitting here being angry. I'm sitting here being like, God damn, smart operator.
This is what you expect to see. This is what you should expect to get when you set the system up.
Joseph actually had a good claim, which is Poland's being oppressed by the Russians and the Germans. We need independence. She is literally saying, I'm going to infiltrate the global superpower and get their interests subverted, which, okay.
Somalia is being oppressed by those Somalis over there.
What do you want to bet the American interactions on this was when this blew up?
I know some people have called for her expulsion from Congress, but I'm not too sure how the left have reacted to it. So please inform me.
Well, but let me take a guess. Right, so the left are actually very pleased with her active disloyalty to the United States, right? But the right have actually gone out of their comfort zone and say, hey, maybe she should be told to F off.
Pretty much. I think you're both right. Because we'll start off with Matt Walsh. He just says, go home.
Yep.
Which, yep. I think that's a perfectly reasonable response. You're a Somali nationalist. Maybe.
Literally is like, this is my home.
So, what do you want?
Yeah.
The left response I saw was people being like, no, you can't tell her to go home. What are you, racist?
What's racist about it, Hassan?
Unadulterated racism against a US Congresswoman sitting at 44,000 likes.
57 by the time we film this.
Yep.
But what's racist about the person from Somalia saying Somalia is my home and I love it there? And so he's like, cool, go back to Somalia then. And that's pure unadulterated racism.
Somalis aren't the black race either.
No.
On no level does this make sense.
But I think anthropologically, Somalians are actually counted as Caucasians. Seriously,
no,
I'm not fully elect.
Arab admixture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, might be subset Semitic, but
yeah, but anyway,
or Arab trickery.
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter because it's not racist for Matt Walsh to suggest
Yeah.
that someone who loves Somalia can return there and be happy.
But
That's just not racism.
I demonstrate this, not because Hassan is, he's funny, of course, in his wrongness, but there wasn't an argument, really.
I love the communists. There's nothing redeemable about the conservative movement. Yeah, I would expect that from a communist. If there was something redeemable about conservatism from the communist perspective, I would be like, right, there's something wrong with conservatism then.
Yeah.
But the point here is that there wasn't an argument. There was nothing. Because what are you meant to say if you're left wing, actually? all you can shout is just a buzzword, which is racism in this case. And that was the end of it.
Sure.
They had nothing. It was like, oh, that's interesting.
Oh, dear me.
So,
So basically the left, it's whataboutery from the left, in other words.
Yeah, there was complete nothing.
No,
I mean, because what do you do?
No real comment.
An
Not even
immigrant
whataboutery.
subverter says, yes, I am an immigrant subverter, and that's what my entire community is doing.
Yeah,
Ha
sure.
ha ha ha.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no defending that. You're
Oh,
sort
sure. Well, I think in America, I think the Overton window as well on immigration has shifted to the right as well.
Oh yeah.
thanks to things like this.
Yeah, I know. It's a glorious own goal, isn't it? From Ilhan Omar's point of view. But the whole thing is if you don't like where you're living, go and live somewhere else. It's basic, simple logic to me.
So there was a joke that came out of this, which people were saying, or at least there's an argument of why she shouldn't be here, which is, sorry, I forgot about that good meme. There we are. It's terrible to tell her she should go home. But, Hassan's not the only one. So this chap started to tweet out, if she's a Somali nationalist, it's praiseworthy. If an American says it, it's racist. It's very simple. You either get comfortable being called racist or you are ruled by foreigners loyal to their own tribe. The rest are lies. I think this chap is right because...
I'd literally just put a speech bubble from Ilhan Omar from that.
Yes.
Because that's literally what she's saying.
Because getting called racist by people like Hassan, it means nothing. You shouldn't be afraid of it at this point. It's pointless. Not even talking about race. We're talking about ethnicity.
Yeah, sure.
So it's just having your time.
How I deal with people calling me racist, occasionally on Twitter, is I just say, well, the people that pointed out the grooming gangs were called racist as well.
Pointless term.
Yes.
Just how many times on a daily basis does Hassan accuse someone of being a racist?
Yeah.
Like, why would I care about, this is literally your entire stock in trade. This is how you make your money. I don't care what you think is racist. You're a communist.
Yeah.
So anyway, wonderful lecture from Ilhan. Pointless discussion from the conversation of left-wingers, as usual. The right have got something on their mind, though, which is maybe we should do something. So Ron DeSantis came out and said, expel her from Congress, then denaturalize her, and then deport her. Now, this is an interesting one because...
Where was that on your presidential run?
So she became the first thing to say, which is you can't denaturalize a natural US citizen.
Yet.
Well, she's not a natural US citizen. She is someone who came to the United States and then claimed the naturalization process. She became a US citizen in the year 2000 when she was 17 years old. And so what ways can this be done? Just out of a sense of what could be done. I don't know the law, of course, but there's an article in here where they're talking about why could this happen. And the big thing on here is that if you lie on your application, so if you make factual wrong claims about the reason you're here or your name or anything else is what they list.
What about marrying your
What about our brother?
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That wasn't during that period she was 17. But I think there's another claim to be made here, which is the oath. The oath she did actually lie on. Because the starting line...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I hereby declare an oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty. Yeah, well, obviously.
To whom I was which and have henceforth been a subject or a citizen. Well, okay, so you are still loyal to the state of Somalia, in your own words. You did lie on your oath.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's ever been a case like this before.
I mean, it's pretty crystal clear.
Yeah, I mean, as the law is written, I think you could make the argument. So,
Good question. Has anybody in America been stripped of their passport and deported?
for lying under oath,
Yeah.
the oath part here.
For whatever reason, it could be criminal offences or something like that.
Well, they've been done for lying on the application. That's why I mention it.
Okay,
But
right.
this oath part wasn't mentioned.
But I mean, she literally has repudiated this oath.
Yeah. I'll end this off with, as you mentioned, the brother thing. Because this is what instantly came to my mind. And this is a bit of a weird one because it's never been proven. So the claim is that she married her brother and then got him US citizenship that way by marriage rights. And obviously that's not allowed because incest is illegal in the US, not everywhere. And we can't disprove that because the paperwork in Somalia doesn't exist.
Of course it doesn't.
Shock. So these weirdos decided to do a DNA test by stealing cigarette butts, and they say that they proved that it's definitely her brother. But the source is really sketchy because the guy who did this, like the day after, got done for trafficking young girls. So it's like,
Right.
Oh, by the way, guys, don't complain too loudly. He actually went to America from Britain.
Yeah. He was a British citizen, I believe. Or,
Okay.
But it's a great question, though, and I think one that the right should really be seriously looking at in the United States is the denaturalization process. Because in her case, you've got the perfect candidate for making the illegal argument and making it precedent. Because if an immigrant citizen comes to the United States but actively hates the United States, says they are foreign first, and then uses their position in the US to advocate for foreign aims, what is the point of the United States if they can't reject those people?
What is the point of the oath?
Yeah.
Why have rules?
You don't have laws at that point.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
So, and this isn't new for us, just to bring us back, because we've been here.
Yeah.
Hamza used, sorry, not Hamza, Yusuf, Abu Hamza.
He's next.
Captain Hook.
Yeah, because he was a British citizen. And
Nobody watched his backside with the wrong one. Anyway.
we did take away his British citizen rights. Shamina Begum's another one.
Yeah.
Usually we've done this for terror offences, but it's not unusual to actually just strip people of their citizenship in the UK for being active enemies. And
Being literal traitors.
yeah, and with the United States, get on with it.
In the United States, they get elected to Congress.
Well, indeed. Well, the other side of the coin, though, is Britain was too cowardly to arrest the guy, to Abu Hamza, and it was left to the Americans to show some muscle and get him extradited back to America, where he's serving life.
Indeed.
So we're pathetic.
But there we are. Of the American right, sincerely, this is an interesting point and something they should actually try and see where it goes. If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Epoch series, this episode on Henry III, Part 2. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.